Hello and welcome. Welcome, everybody, to the world's first and only show that's 100% dedicated to teaching speakers, authors, coaches, and service-based professionals how to get more speaking gigs. Yes, welcome from the bottom of my heart to the Get More Speaking Gigs show. You're here today because something that you read, something that you saw, piqued your interest and said, hey, I think I might want to show up to that interview. There might be some valuable information from people who are consistently getting onto speaking stages. And please let me point out that I've got a new definition for speaking gig. I personally believe that a speaking gig is any time that you can have a conversation with your ideal audience. Any time that you can have a conversation with your ideal audience is my new definition of a speaking gig. So it doesn't need to be stages. It doesn't need to be telesummits. It could be podcasts. It could be guest expert panels. The gamut, is very, very long and wide. So let's take that mindset. Let's take that picture that you have in your mind that a speaking gig must be live and that a speaking gig must be in a hotel ballroom, because it doesn't. So with that said, I've tapped into my network, my extensive network of successful speakers, authors, and coaches, and I've invited my close personal friend, Kristen Rock Your Talk Thompson. And the reason why I invited her is because we want to find out where you were a couple years ago, Kristen, and where you are today, because we're real people. And people in my community that are dialing into the Get More Speaking Gigs show are real people. And they want to learn about real-world experiences, about how to go from before to after. So welcome, Kristen. Welcome to the Get More Speaking Gigs show.
I'm so glad and so honored to have you. I know we had the pleasure of seeing each other just recently at a live event, and I'm so happy to be here with you online. And I love your definition of speaking gigs, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. There's so many opportunities out there and so many platforms for a message to be heard, and to think of it as just being a big stage is far too limiting. So I love it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So here's what we're going to do. Just so everybody knows, here's the ground rules. We're going to go into laser question and answer. I have a list of 10 questions of which I'm going to ask my amazing guest expert, Kristen Rock Your Talk Thompson, and we're going to simply go question 1, answer. Question 2, answer. Now, this doesn't need to be done in 10 minutes, but there are 10 questions, and just so everybody knows, these aren't only my questions. I've actually asked my community to provide me with questions that they would like to ask other successful speakers. So with that said, let us start off with question number 1. Question number 1 is, Kristen, can you tell me a bit about your first experience speaking from stage? Did it go over well? How long was it? So share with us. What was your first experience from stage?
Is it okay if it wasn't on a stage?
Of course.
Okay. So the truth is that my very first speaking engagement was in 2007. I was speaking for a personal development company, so my role was to go give a talk and sell people into their workshops. And I was speaking at a sales meeting at a mortgage company, ironically not too far from my new house. I happen to move right by there. So I drive by all the time and I go, hello, my first speaking gig. And this is what I can tell you is I was terrified. I showed up an hour early. I sat in the parking lot and I literally had an argument with myself about whether or not I should go up and give the talk or give up and go home. And that's not a story, to sound funny. I mean, I really legitimately was so terrified that I didn't want to go up and give the talk. And here's the embarrassing part is it was only 8 people. So not 18, not 80, not 800, but literally 8 people just were going to be sitting around a boardroom, and I was absolutely terrified. What I can tell you is I don't remember much of the talk itself because I was so scared. It's actually a big blur. But I sold 3 tickets to the workshop, which means I sold $1,200 that day. And I share that story not because people should expect necessarily to go out and make sales at their very first talk, but I share it because of the why. the why I was able to do that was because I was working for a company that had already crafted a well-structured and tested talk that they knew would sell as long as it was delivered halfway decently. And so I share that story to really encourage everyone out there that when you have the right talk, you do not need to deliver it perfectly. We can all venture to guess, given how scared I was and that I was not even in my body, that it wasn't my best performance, and yet it got results. And that really speaks to the importance of a well-crafted talk.
I love it. Thank you very, very much. And what I'd like to do is simply just summarize that, ironically, through the past guests that I've had on the Get More Speaking Gigs show, many people have honed in on that particular principle as well. So if we were creating a list of profitable platform principles, I certainly am going to be asking permission from Kristen Rock Your Talk Thompson to utilize this principle, which is no matter how nervous you are, no matter whether you are ready to leave the room before stepping in front of 8 people, as long as you somewhat can get through a previously structured talk, you will be successful.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that profitable platform principle. Let us now move to question number 2. Question number 2. How many years of speaking were under your belt before you truly felt like you had arrived? And what I mean by this is that the marketplace considered you an expert at your craft and that it was regularly profitable for you.
Ooh, that's a tough question. All right, I'm going to go with 2 different phases. Phase 1 was really within my first year. I felt like I had really good command of how to walk into a room full of strangers and lead with clients and leads. And I was really well known in the Portland area within 12 months. Now, the reason why that is that I was speaking almost every work day of the week. I worked 3 days a week for many, many years until my son went into school full time. So every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, bam, I was giving a talk every morning. Chamber of Commerce, real estate office, sales team somewhere, a business association. When you speak often and you actually have a coach helping you with your craft, you will get good really fast, because the reality is that the average person is not doing that. And that's why consistently my clients will go out and outperform other people in the market, even if they're new, because they are focusing and they are honing in on that skill. They're giving a talk, they're reviewing, making a little tweak, going out and giving the talk again. So I was actually fairly stunned how quickly that first layer of success came. And again, I think it's because so few people really study the skill and actually focus in on getting better at it. They just do it every so often for their business. But if you decide to make speaking really a major marketing platform and sales platform for your business, you will get known really fast. Now, that was sort of phase 1, and my income was still very low. I was making maybe $30,000 or $40,000 a year, working 3 days a week. And I was dabbling. I didn't have a proper business structure. I just knew how to speak and sell. So the next phase of success and where I really catapulted was when I married that skill, the ability to go in and speak and make an offer and lead with leads and clients in hand. I married that with a proper business structure. Then it was game on. I went from that $30,000 a year income to, within the next 12 months, generating $175,000. doubling it again. So we've grown very rapidly, and I think it's very important for anyone who wants to use speaking to grow their business. The power is in, again, marrying that with the right revenue streams and the right structure so that you can earn the right amount of money. Very helpful.
Sure, absolutely. And let me interject here. Could you please help everybody who's listening right now understand what you mean by the right business structure?
It's a great question. So I like to call my business before the one-legged stool, and you don't want a one-legged stool because it falls over. And what that meant was I would go give a talk, and I would sell tickets to a workshop. I was replicating what I had learned with the personal development company, but that was the beginning and the end of my entire revenue streams. There was just buy a ticket to my workshop, which means if I wasn't speaking and selling tickets to that workshop, I did not make money that day. So the first big change that I made in my business was that I added multiple revenue streams. So I started by adding coaching and consulting. and getting a nice bed of consistent monthly coaching clients, and that revenue provided a nice foundation. And then if I wanted to speak and sell tickets to a workshop or live event, that was great. And then I developed my first product or program, which is called Command Any Room. To this date, it is still our most popular program, and that's the core teaching of how to book talks and craft it and deliver it in a way that'll grow your business. So creating a signature product or program from all of the knowledge that you have up here is also really critical, because that gives you nice leveraged income. So by shifting from that one revenue stream to multiple revenue streams, it allowed me to make money whether I give a talk or I don't. I always have revenue coming in.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that clarification. And let me please sprinkle my opinion above and beyond what Kristen said. So my opinion is, for those of you listening, please don't feel overwhelmed when Kristen says multiple revenue streams.
Yeah.
You know, the truth of the matter is, you know, both Kristen and myself can advise you that the goal is to create a platform that is lifestyle friendly according to your definition.
Yeah.
Right? What Kristen learned was that she was going out there and speaking a lot, and she was only selling into one particular thing. Whereas she wanted to succeed, not only to serve more people, but also to generate more income for her family. So she picked and chose which additional revenue streams were appropriate for her personality and for her commitment. Would you agree with that, Kristen?
Absolutely. It's important really just to pick one new revenue stream to start, and to definitely consult the coach that you're working with to find the right ones for you. I don't do a lot of travel, you know, so most of my stuff supports me hanging out at home unless I'm going to go speak or I'm going to go deliver something to my clients, but I am home a lot. Other people like to be on the road, so there's a lot of considerations. You don't need to be overwhelmed, but you do need to look at, can I make money even if my throat is scratchy that day? You don't want to be tied to feeling like you have to be out speaking in order to make money every day.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. All right, here is the cue card. Woohoo! Question number 3. What do you believe are the most dramatic changes that have occurred in the speaking industry, and how have you adapted to them?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. Well, I think what I've noticed is that in the beginning and when I first started speaking, it was very old school and very kind of hard sell, I would say. It's like that old school sales. And I think that that's really shifted. And I think because, I always say, my personal opinion is because of reality television and because of social media, people have a very low tolerance for BS and for stuff that, you know, was a little bit old school, salesy. And they really want you to be transparent and play it really straight. So what I have done in my own business, just because it's how I like to do business and also because I think it's what the market really wants, is I'm really straight. I do make an offer when I speak, but it's not high pressure. It is really going to entice the right people to say yes, though. And I find that people are really appreciative of that shift. And I certainly am not making any less money for it, in my personal opinion. So I think that people being really mindful in the way that they sell, and that there is a path to being extremely successful. I have very high closing rates speaking to live audiences without ever being called high pressure, pushy, or salesy. And I think that's really what the market has demanded. And then in terms of like live events, we've just seen more and more people getting out there and doing live events, which is sort of an offshoot of speaking. And I think, you know, that's really exciting. But what we've seen is it really gets to a place where people who aren't really ready and prepared, they're not able to fill those events. They're not being successful. So we're seeing people getting weeded out. So I think what's really important is that, number one, you're authentic and you know how to close people in a way that is not high pressure, because that's what the market demands now, is a real strict level of authenticity. And then number two is, if you want to jump in the game and start doing live events and get to that level, that you do it with the right amount of coaching and that you do it only if and when you're ready, because the market has a lot of live events. So you want to make sure that when you open the doors to yours, that you're ready to really rock it out.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And let me please pretend like I'm in the mind of some of our viewers. And you have stated, you know, that, you know, one of the things that you believe is a primary core, you know, concept to success in this industry today is being authentic. Now, let's be honest, this isn't probably the first time that people listening to this interview have heard, well, just be yourself and be authentic.
Yeah.
But I'm going to place myself into the mind of some of the viewers, and they might have a fear. They might have a fear of being authentic. How would you address the question if they said, well, I'm not necessarily comfortable sharing more of my personal life or kind of who I am with the public?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, here at Speak, Serve, Grow, one of the first things that we work on, we do this at the live event, but we also do it within our coaching programs, is we have our clients identify their brand personality archetype. And I think that that's really important. What that helps you do is just get clear about how you are. What is your core personality in a business setting? And that's number one. That's how you can learn and get clear about kind of what is your personality and how can we start packaging it, bringing it forward. Like, I'm known as Kristen Rock Your Talk Thompson because I love rock music and I'm a rock and roll edgy kind of girl. At my live event, I'm probably going to drop an F-bomb. Like, I'm a little edgy, and it all makes sense in terms of my natural personality, but yours might be more conservative and suited up, and that's perfect, but we need to package that up too. So part of being authentic is you just packaging and branding yourself in a way that's in alignment with who you truly are. That's what I think is most important, that your talk, that the titles of your programs, that the colors that you use, the fonts that you use, the way you dress, should all be in alignment with who you really are. And that does not necessarily mean you have to reveal your deepest, darkest personal secrets to be really straight with people. Now, that said, you do want to share a little bit of yourself and a little bit of your story, but that doesn't mean that you need to air your private life in the public. I don't think that's necessary. I think what's more important is that you share the right stories, the right pieces of information about your history that are going to help your clients. Like, I've had people sometimes go through trauma and they think, oh, so do I need to share this on stage? And it's like, well, not just because you've survived a trauma. I mean, like, we've all survived something, but if it's relevant to the conversation, you know, I often share the times before I had a successful business, some of the troubles that we had when I was pregnant, the financial trouble that we got into, because it's very, very closely tied to why I'm such a fan of speaking and how that revenue began to help us climb out of that financial hole. So personal stories are only important when they help your audience and when you feel comfortable sharing them. But you don't need to air every piece of your life in public to be authentic. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, absolutely. And let me please also sprinkle my TR opinion on the amazing answer that Kristen had. And here's what it all boils down to me. I believe that people have no reason to be fearful, because when you are spreading your message, when you're sharing, you know, from stage or from an interview, it is as much designed to attract your ideal audience as it is to disqualify or turn away people that might be problem clients of yours, right? Wouldn't you agree, Kristen?
It's huge, huge. I mean, you've hit on the why. So how is one part, and the why, you are just nail on the head. You don't want people, like, in other words, I can stuff myself in a suit and I can show you horrible pictures of me doing it where I look ridiculous, and for someone else that's the right move. For me, it just wasn't. So what happens when you try to be something you're not is you will attract clients you won't enjoy working with, and they won't really enjoy working with you. Whereas when you come to my live event and I'm wearing boots and I'm wearing jeans and there's music and I'm probably going to swear a little bit, I'm going to get really excited, my crowd loves that. And they're relieved that I'm being that relaxed around them. Whereas someone in the corporate world, they don't want any of that, nor should they maybe have it. And so the right people are going to come running to you. They will love you ever more just for exactly who you are. Everything that people love about me being Kristen Rock Your Talk Thompson is the stuff that have driven people in my personal life crazy. You know? So you need to think about that. Sometimes people say talk less, or be less this, or be less nerdy, or be less conservative. Fill in the blank. I would venture to bet whatever you've been criticized for in your personal life is a part of what you can in your business, and people will come running towards you for it.
I love that last sentence. Whatever you've been criticized for in your personal business, that is something that you should embrace with your professional brand, because that's the real you. I love that.
It is, and we all have a bold part of ourselves, a part that kind of stands out. In your personal life, it can kind of grate on people a little bit. But in the public world and for your clients, it's often when you set it free and you just let yourself be the way you are, people will really enjoy that about you. And so just play with it. I have never been let down by just being more me on stage sharing with people. It has only grown my connection with my audience, as it will for everyone watching. It'll grow your connection, it'll grow your loyalty, it'll grow your affection for your audience, and theirs for you too.
Wonderful. All right, so we have question number 4. This one's going to be a quick one because question 5 is going to be very beefy, Kristen. So question number 4 is, knowing what you know now, if you could do it all over again, would you change anything? If so, what?
Ooh, that's a toughie. Okay, I would just say I wouldn't change anything because it happened clearly the way it was supposed to. But what I would say, what my wish would be that I would be more decisive and I would trust that I know what I'm doing much more quickly. And I would guess that that would be true for everyone listening or watching. You know, your gut is telling you decisions to make. Your gut is telling you to step on stages. Your gut's have a little whisper in the background. I wish that every little whisper or every little gut feel, I just went and did it, because the faster you can grow confidence in your ability to be smart and know what's right for you and your business, the faster you'll go. And 99% of the time when I questioned myself or I felt like, oh, I'm not ready to partner with that person, or oh, I'm not ready to step on that stage, I was totally just playing small and totally being a big fat baby, which is my natural state. You know, I'm a big chicken. So the more I could just say yes and be more confident more quickly, that would be my one wish.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, so far, up until now, we've had Kristen Rock Your Talk Thompson answer 4 questions relating to her experiences of getting to the top of the speaker, author, and coaching industry. And what I'm excited about is this next question, Kristen, and here's where we go.
Hey, TR, can you do 60 seconds of teaching really fast before you start?
Can I do it right now?
Yeah, can you just share? I just need to go grab my plug really, really fast, so I just need you to do 60 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I'll be right back.
Sure. Okay, everybody, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to review Kristen's answers and those principles that we've extracted from her answers from questions 1 through 4. So she actually stated that in 2007, it was her first, stage time in which she sat in her car prior to going in there and speaking in front of only 8 people, and she was ready to leave. However, what she learned was no matter how nervous she was, no matter how many people had scowls on their faces, that as long as she had a prepared talk, a signature speech, that main talk that was written out and she knew what she was going to talk about, that she was successful. The second answer that she had to question number 2 is that, she actually had a pivot. During her first year, she went out there and practiced and practiced and practiced and got it on a lot of stages and had a lot of sales. However, when she truly, gave it, the pedal to the metal, was when she realized that she also needed to decide and marry that persistence and high activity with the right business model, which allowed for multiple revenue streams of not just selling into a program, but enticing people into a variety of different offerings. And then question number 3, Kristen pretty much came out straight and said, listen, at the end of the day, if you are authentic, if you are yourself and transparent, that is what's occurring in society today. And speaking from stage is just an example of society. We want to be treated like real human beings, and by being yourself, you are going to both qualify the right ideal audience members, and you are going to disqualify the people that you don't want in your community anyway. And then finally, to summarize on question number 4, which was knowing what you know now, what would you do different? She really wishes, and I really wish as well, that I could stay focused, be decisive, trust my intuition, this is what I want, this is what I'm going after, this is who I am. And I would be further if I would have taken, the lesson that Kristen learned, which is be decisive.
Nice. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So with that said, we are now at question number 5.
I'm excited.
Question number 5 is, if you were teaching a class called How to Get More Speaking Gigs to emerging speakers, authors, coaches, what would the first 3 lessons consist of?
Ooh, okay, so number 1, if you want to get more speaking gigs, you need to have a talk that will solve a major problem for people. So before we even talk about getting the gigs, you want to have the magnet for that, which is a great talk married with a great talk title. And so the first thing I look at with clients is to get them to focus in on, because it ties into the conversation that you're going to have when you're going to get the gig, which is you really want to be solving a problem for that audience. So the number 1 mistake that I see when people want to start getting gigs is we immediately become self-focused. I mean, I remember feeling this way myself. It's like, well, am I enough? And how am I going to prove to this person that I'm a good speaker? We suddenly start focusing on ourselves, when the reality is if you put the focus on the audience and you say, what is the big fat problem, or as we affectionately call it in the Speak, Serve, Grow community, the big effing problem that you can solve for the audience, then people are going to want to invite you in. The hot topic is the first thing that really attracts people. So that's number 1, a hot talk that solves a big fat problem, and we need to have a great title for that talk. I happen to be really good at titles, which people usually notice when they come to Speak, Serve, Grow. You see Speak, Serve, Grow, you see Command Any Room, you see Workshop-a-Palooza. We've got really fun titles. So that's something that I help my clients with. But also there's a resource that I think I could just share with everyone, and in fact, I just gave this to all of my clients the other day, is a book called POP, P-O-P, ! And it's written by a gal named Sam Horn, and it is a woman named Sam Horn. And this book helps you write great taglines and titles. So while you do want to get great at it yourself, work with a good coach who can help you craft and personalize really hot titles. And that book is just a great resource. I have a lot of my clients do exercises in that book first and then bring me their versions of their titles, and then we fine tune them. So that's the starting place. And it may sound surfacey, like, Kristen, why is a hot talk title important? It seems surfacey. I don't know a better way to put it, but that's just the way it is, because that's part of what attracts people, not only to booking you, but if you are speaking at a large event. I've made a lot of money speaking at large events where there's 1,000 people, and let's say you're speaking in a breakout. Well, if you want butts and seats at that breakout, or if you're even speaking at the local chamber of commerce just in your local neighborhood, if you want people to show up and be excited, you've got to have that hot title to attract them. So that's phase 1. The other really important thing I'll share with everyone, and this is just critical, is pick up the phone. Nobody wants to pick up the phone, but the phone is your friend. So in today's world, the tendency is for people to want to email, right? Well, I'll just shoot out a bunch of emails to a bunch of organizations. When I first got into the coaching world, I even heard coaches say, say as a strategy, you should just email organizations just one sentence. Do you take outside speakers? Okay, WTF are you talking about? If you got that email, would you be excited? I would be, that goes in the trash. I'm not even reading that email. So don't email people, and definitely don't email them, do you take outside speakers? Pick up the phone, connect with the person who's in charge of organizing the chamber meeting you want to speak at, or who's in charge of programs for the business association you want to speak at, or the organizer of the live event you want to speak at. And it's a really simple conversation. Now, here at Speak, Serve, Grow, we give entire scripts that walk you through what to do. But I can tell you really quickly, just right here, the most important thing to do, and it's do not talk about yourself. You're going to want to do it. You're going to be tempted, hi, this is Kristen Thompson. I'm an awesome speaker. And you're going to want to defend yourself. But instead of doing that, here's what I want you to do. You want to offer to help their audience solve a problem. And you want to make a commitment that you are going to help that event organizer look and feel like a rock star. If you accomplish those two things, if you guarantee them, I will not let you down. Everyone will be thanking you for having me out. Everyone's going to learn something, and here are the exact problems I'm going to solve for them. You will rarely hear a no, or if you hear a no, it's because you are legitimately not a good fit for that organization. And 99% of the people who are trying to get speaking gigs are not having these conversations. They're calling and saying, hi, I'm Kristen Thompson. I'm a speaker. I would like to speak at your event. Me. I call it the me monster, right? Me. So if you don't do that, you don't talk about you, and all you do is seek to serve that event, and most importantly, the audience in that event, you will get more gigs.
Okay, so is that number one, or is that all three steps?
So one was have a hot title.
Yes.
Two is pick up the phone, and
okay.
3 is focus on solving problems for the audience and the event organizer or the host, whoever your main contact is. So those are your 3 big shifts. That will make a huge difference. Hot title, pick up the phone, offer to help them, the audience solve a problem, and the event host look and feel like a rock star.
Yeah, and don't be a me monster.
Don't be a me monster.
That's my boo. That's my, you don't know, but I've got a studio audience. Boo, don't be a me monster.
It's really tempting. We don't do it to be rude, but we feel like we have to do it. You don't have to do it. If they get excited enough about your topic, the title, and how you can help their audience and how the talk's interactive, they will absolutely hire you.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so I have a 30-second question, and that question is, how many physical stages would you suspect you've spoken on through the years, and how many virtual stages like interviews, telesummits?
Holy crapioli. I've probably given well over 100 talks. I don't even know, but not all on stages, often just standing in the front of a room at a chamber of commerce. I've probably given 50 to 100 virtual talks easily between webinars, live interviews, telesummits, podcasts, easily 100 live and 100 virtual.
Wonderful. All right, so here, let's go with the final question here. The final question is, would you please share with us the most shocking pee in your pants moment that you experienced during all of your years in this industry? And what I mean by this is this could be nervous or embarrassing moment for you, or it could be a time to where you believe someone said something or did something that completely shocked you. So let it rip.
Holy cow, we need another half an hour. I will say 2 things. One was when I was first speaking and I was pregnant. I had morning sickness, and I literally arrived at the event and had to open my door and throw up in the bushes, which was completely embarrassing and horrifying. And then pulled myself together, gave the talk. The wave of nausea was coming back up. Someone was talking to me right after I got off, the stage. And I said, I'll be right back. I had to run to the bathroom, throw up again, and come back out. So that was just horrifying and just part of being pregnant and embarrassing. But even at this last Rise Live event, we had dust storm alarms going off in the hotel, and the power went out. I lost my slides. Like, there's a million and one crazy things, and I could tell you stories. Even one of my best clients, she just recently did $100,000 in 60 days with free speaking gigs. She's amazing. But she'll also tell you a great story about one of the talks she gave in the last year. She showed up, and her audience was strippers. People, she was told she was going to speak to creative people who were artists. And then when she showed up, it was literally like strippers, and a lady came out with pasties on and like booty shorts in the audience. She's a business coach, and she was like, okay, I'm not really sure what to do with this. So you will find yourself in all kinds of crazy situations when you go out and speak. The most important thing I can say is laugh, enjoy the moment, let it just roll right off you. It's not a big deal. There's another gig another day, and that's why giving more speaking gigs, having more engagements is so important, so that any one little hiccup doesn't really throw you off your game.
Absolutely. And speaking of hiccups, for those of you that might have tuned in a partial way into this interview, we didn't start off on the best foot because there were some internet connection issues with regards to Kristen. So we have slammed together, as many questions as we can in the time that Kristen has graciously invested, for serving my community. So with that said, question number 10. Thank you very much for your expert insight that you just shared with everybody. Can you please leave us with a brief explanation on what project you're focused on today, why it means so much to you, and how our listeners can learn more about it?
Well, I'll say this. I'm actually chilling like a villain. We just did our Rise Live event, so I'm relaxing through the holidays. But if anybody wants some free gifts, they can go to speakservegrow.com. That's a really easy place to visit, speakservegrow.com. And you can sign up for some free goodies. There's lots of free training. And the other thing is if you go to, let me think of how to do this. No, just do that. But here's what I'm going to recommend. Do it today, because next week I'm sending out some emails with some more free gifts. You're going to get access to some of my Rise Live event videos. So you can watch some of the sessions, the training sessions, next week for a limited time. And I'm also giving away some training on booking gigs. So I'm sending that out to my whole list next week. So if you hop over to Speak, Serve, Grow, get a free gift today, but then you'll at least be on my list. And then we'll send you more free stuff next week too. But that's it. Just go get more free things. That's what I'm up to.
Yay!
Okay, and then I have to run. I feel so bad. I showed up late and I'm departing abruptly. But
Yep.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. All right, Kristen. You rock. We
Forgive
appreciate
me, everybody. Forgive me for having tech challenges. You rock. Go rock your talk, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.
Bye now. And I'm not going anywhere, everybody. I'm not going anywhere. So Lexus asked to repeat the actual web address. So it is called speakservegrow.com. Speakservegrow.com. SPAKSERVEGROW.com. Absolutely. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We've got Tony, we've got Nancy, we've got Lexus, we've got Hamea, and we've got Donna still on the line. So my question for each and every one of you is, and Mike has just joined us as well. Do you have any questions for me to address as it relates to some of Kristen's answers? So Tony, Nancy, Mike, Lexus, Hamea, and Donna, I believe I've placed you all on mute, but you can very easily unmute yourself and ask whatever question you would like as it relates to about the 6 or 7 answers that Kristen provided us. So Tony, did you have any questions, that you'd like some expansive answers on? You are muted, Tony. You just need to go to the top of your screen and unmute yourself.
Single week, and the call to action goes to one place. Number 5, have a...
Okay, okay, so Nancy, do you know how to unmute yourself, right? There we go. You're unmuted.
Okay, great. Well, that was great. She was very concise.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's absolutely fantastic.
Yes, I'm one of these people that I just finished writing a book. It's going to launch in December. And so this is all at the new stages for me. I'm one of those people, if I had 1,000 prospects show up, I wouldn't know what to do with them.
Uh-huh.
So I've got a lot of back-end work to do. But this was great. It's exciting.
Did you have any questions that you'd like to ask me to elaborate upon Kristen's answers or principles that we shared?
My next speaking thing is going to be a 5-minute talk that I'm going to be giving at Harvard Expert Business Forum, and I'm not sure where to begin. So if you have any resource, there's tons of resources, but if you have anything in particular to prioritize, that would be a really helpful thing.
Within a 5-minute talk?
Yeah.
Yeah, so in shorter talks, I always recommend that you go for emotions. Go for emotions first. Nobody cares who you are, and nobody truly cares about your background experience when you are in a talk for under 10 minutes, certainly under 15, 10 minutes, and definitely 5. So the goal is to somehow come out of the gate and paint a picture so that that picture that you paint resonates with a certain percentage of people in the audience. Would you like an example?
Yes, I would, please.
Okay, so when people are asking me who my ideal audience is, I could say that my ideal audience is predominantly female and that they have a message to share and they've been certified in the last 3 to 4 years as a coach, a holistic practitioner. They've been motivated, that they have a message to share and they desire to build a business around it. However, that is very, very institutional, for lack of a better word. It's straightforward, but it's institutional. Now, if I were following my own advice about utilizing emotions to grab the attention of someone, what I would say is, that's a great question. You know, who is my ideal audience member? Well, you might very well have a friend or a colleague that in the last 3 to 6 months has shared with you that they got into an all-out screaming match with their spouse or partner. Honey, I know that I've invested our life savings in this coaching program. This is not a hobby for me. I'm going to make this work. I'm going to start to generate revenue, and I'm going to follow the system. Please, don't stop believing in me. I'm going to make this work.
Okay.
Does that paint a different picture than the institutional?
Yes, it definitely does.
Right? So you've got a picture in your mind right now of, you know, a woman arguing with her spouse or partner that they invested, you know, I didn't say a dollar amount, but their savings towards being a coach or writing a book or, you know, writing a signature speech, and you know that she's experiencing roller coaster income because she's in an argument with her loved one saying, listen, this is not a hobby. I'm not going to give it up. I'm not going to go back to my day job.
That made the point really fast.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so I'm not going anywhere, but let's transition over to Lexus. Lexus, if you wanted to ask a question, preferably as it relates to some of Kristen's answers to my questions and ask me to elaborate, that's fine. So you've got the microphone, Lexus. You are currently. Now I can.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know what questions you are referring to.
Oh, I'm simply stating that I asked Kristen about 6 or 7 questions and she answered them. And I was curious if you wanted me to elaborate upon any one of Kristen's answers from my own perspective.
Well, being that this is Google Hangouts and it keeps sounding like you're playing one of those combs, every once in a while the sound cuts out, so it's hard to get what everybody's saying. But I thought she was a good speaker. I liked what she had to say. I would just like to have more valuable information on how to get the speaking gigs.
Okay.
How do you get your name out there? I understand to pick up the phone. I don't have a problem with that. Who am I calling?
Okay. All right. Well, here's what I commit to you. Why don't you and I have a private conversation sometime in the next 2 weeks, and I'd be happy to listen to what you've been doing in the past, what your goals are, and offer up some suggestions where we don't have, you know, the noise going in the background or cutting in and out due to Hangouts. Does that sound okay?
Sure. I appreciate that. I'll put my name in, or put my email address in the chat, and you can send me a time trade or something, appointment setter.
Super.
Is that how you want to do it? Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lexus.
Thanks so much.
Okay, so Donna, you're up next. Donna, would you like to ask any questions as it relates to Kristen's answers that she provided?
You know what? First of all, she was great, TR. I learned so much from her, and I'm sitting here taking notes. And she said something very interesting. Can you talk more about marrying your passion to the right business model?
Sure.
Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Just 1 second here. I just needed to write something down. Okay, so this is something that I have sprinkled into the current training of mine that you are going through. But let me please elaborate it for everybody's benefit as well as yours right now. So what Kristen said was, it was in response to question number 2. And question number 2 was, how many years of speaking were under your belt before you truly feel like you had arrived? Meaning that the marketplace considered you an expert and that it was profitable for you. And what she said is that came in 2 phases. During her first year, she had high activity, meaning that she was persistent. She spoke wherever and whenever she could, and she kept on speaking, speaking, speaking. And she was finding results, meaning that she was enrolling people into the particular program that she was laser focused on. However, after that first year, she most likely felt overwhelmed that she needed to actually, stay as high activity as possible. And it was overwhelming her that she constantly needed to be, a hamster on a wheel. So what she realized was that she could probably cut down on the high activity and generate the same or more revenue if she focused on choosing a business model that was appropriate to marry with her persistence on getting on stages and having her talk. And that business model was in the form of still having those conversations with people, still speaking, however, opening up the umbrella saying, listen, you've got a choice on how to work with me. That choice could be buy my book, that choice could be attend my event, or maybe it could be private coaching or consulting or done for you services. So what she's alluding to is stopping, and because I know you, Donna, what I would do is through this holiday season, do some reflecting on what would be an ideal platform for you to implement in 2016. Because we know that you're an author, we know that you're serving a particular audience, right, with regards to the congregations and so on and so forth, but is that enough? Could you expand your offerings to always focus on, well, here's how you can work with me. Choice number 1, you can buy my book. I think that I told you before, choice number 2, actually choice number 1 shouldn't be buy my book for $20. It should be choice number 1, invest in a program for $97. I'll give you my book, and there'll also be 4 15-minute videos that expand upon the concepts within my book.
Right. Okay. We did talk about that.
Yeah, that should be choice number 1. Should be do not sell just a book. Start off by selling a conversation for $97 of a book plus 4 recordings.
Right.
Or a book plus 2, 3, or 4 live hangouts in which you can have these conversations with people. I mean, look at what happened today. Kristen didn't show up for 20 minutes, but everybody's still on the call because we're real people, we understand, and it's a very important topic.
Right. Okay. So
cool. All right.
Okay. Well, thank you, TR.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, Mike, just out of curiosity, I know that you dialed in at the last minute. I did not know if you had any questions for me to specifically address. Well, we still got a couple people that are live on the call, and we've got a handful of viewers too.
No, not really, TR. I've been busy working on some of the things that I learned yesterday with you, and but when I saw it was you, I couldn't resist. I just wanted to pop in, say hi, and I always pick up something new, and so that's really it. I wasn't really prepared. I even came in, I didn't have my lights on, I was in the dark, and I didn't want to be rude, so I just kind of popped in, but just say hi.
Super. All right. Well, so let's call it a day then, because everybody that's still at least live is already within my community, and I need to prepare for my next call. So here's what I have to say to each and every one of you. You rock. All of you rock. I love the fact that you showed up today because there was a topic that was of interest to you. and that is get more speaking gigs. And I know that we had an absolutely amazing guest expert today, Kristen Rock Your Talk Thompson. If you would like to get a hold of her, please go to speakservegrow.com, or you can email me directly, and I will make a personal introduction between you and Kristen. And my email, as always, is tr@trgarland.com. tr@trgarland.com. I'd be happy to make the introduction between you and any of my guest experts. So I thank you for showing up today to the world's first and only show 100% dedicated to teaching emerging speakers, authors, coaches, and service-based professionals how to get more speaking gigs. This is the first of many conversations that you and I are going to have, so let's keep that friendly conversation going. Bye, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you, TR. Appreciate you.
You're quite welcome, Donna. Take care, Mike.
Bye.
Bye-bye now.